Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today's guest is Howard Simon, and he is founder and CEO over at Rejuvenation Science, Inc. Howard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Great to be here.
All right, Howard. So as my guests or my long-term listeners know, I love promoting authors and I love promoting books. So your new book, MM Theory, A New Paradigm in Medicine, the inflammation treatment book, revealing the root cause of disease, its prevention and treatment. So we got a lot to cover here, and we'll pack as much as we can in this 20-minute segment. But just to get us started off, I know you were sent over to us by Brad Turner and the Newport Investor Conference that's coming up, the Newport Beach Investor Conference. So, hey, I believe you're speaking at the conference. You're going to be doing hosting a fireside chat. Is that right?
I will be at the conference. We will have an exhibit there. I will be participating in a fireside chat, which will be just me, basically.
That's awesome. I got to ask, are you excited? I'm excited. I'm going, by the way. So are you excited?
Looking forward to it. Yes.
All right. Well, have you ever been to one of these conferences? This is my first Brad Turner conference, but I know he puts on a lot of great conferences. I'm just curious. Have you ever been to one?
I know he does too, and he tells me so. This will be my first one.
All right. We're both noobs then. So we're both newbies, right? You can only be new once. So I take all those new things, the special experiences. All right. So let's just kind of dive into the book. So just to get us kicked off here, what inspired this book?
Oh, my goodness. I suffered from ulcerative colitis for about 25 years and basically had my symptoms in abeyance at the time that the doctors said I was at high risk for cancer, and my colon, the entire 5.5 feet of it, were surgically removed. I am now back to the living, back to normal, playing beach volleyball regularly with lots of guys younger than me, and life is good.
Yeah. So, lots of individuals have things that happen to them. And one of the things that and whether it's medical, it could be, entrepreneurs that have a story about entrepreneurship or a product they created or some other things that everybody has a reason why they start a project and they feel the need to, express themselves creatively. In this case, you're expressing yourself creatively in the form of a book. So, taking on a book, taking on an undertaking like that's no easy task. What kind of pushed you to do this, or what was the idea where you're like, I got to do a book about this?
Well, nobody should have to suffer like I suffered, or like other people with autoimmune diseases suffer in so many different ways. And I have a knack for understanding things in a contrarian way or a different way than other people do. And so I was able to put together this theory of the cause of autoimmune disease.
I know, and I've got a couple of books out there, and I know whenever I start a new project or something like that, I always, towards the end of this or middle or in that journey of creating a book, which for anybody listening to this that hasn't created a book, I believe everybody has a story inside of them that they should let out. And so I'm a big fan of books. So when you were going through that writing process and bringing this content together, is there anything that kind of surprised you? Was there anything like any of those aha moments or many of them? I don't know.
Oh, there were actually many of them, because a lot of the book represents research and clinical trials. And there are just some amazing things that I discovered along the way, such as babies are not born sterile. The placenta has a unique microbiome, such as your central nervous system receives its nutrition while you're sleeping at night, such as there is an amazing vascular system within your bones that helps feed stem cells to an injured area. That's just fascinating.
Wow. And so do you also share stories in this book? Give us a flavor for maybe some of the content in the book.
Oh, well.
And what I mean by that is this, do you have to be a doctor to read this?
That's an interesting two-part question.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to be a doctor to read it. You have to have an interest in your health or somebody that you care for a lot, and that will give you a focus as you work through the book. The best way to read the book is to read the few chapters in full, look at the detail in some of the middle chapters when they are of interest to your condition, and then jump to chapter 9, which provides suggestions for lifestyle and dietary interventions that you can do for yourself.
So tell us more about theory and what it entails.
All right. Well, if I wrote those 3 words out that represents, nobody would go past the cover of the book.
I kind of figured that, and I was like, let's get into it. That's probably easier delivered verbally. Go for it.
Yes, and it's not necessary to remember. The MMM stands for microbial mucosal milieu, and it's a fancy term for your microbiome, and the microbiome acts as a protective mechanism for your body. So we live synergistically with the bacteria in our environment.
And for the reader, like as you said, so the person that's going to pick this up, or correct me if I'm wrong, like how are they gonna know that this is a good book for them? Is it because they're experiencing some type of like medical problem? Is it because like how do you expect people to connect with this book?
The best way for a person to connect with it is as a young person, and they want to prevent disease and live a healthy and long life. The most common way for a person to connect with the book is that they are suffering from some form of condition, and especially when the doctors that they're seeing are sending them back and forth from one specialty to another, and nobody can quite put their finger on what this condition is that they have, let alone how to treat it.
I like that you bring this up. So it's for preventative. It can be for somebody that's, experiencing something and wants to explore further. Like there's just a lot of use cases for this, right?
Yes.
There's another co-author on this. Am I right? I'm looking at the Amazon. Chris?
That is right. Chris Miletus is a naturopathic doctor. He was the dean of NMNU, the largest naturopathic medical university in the U.S., and he was my principal investigator on clinical trials that we got into.
My last book I had with a co-author as well, and I feel like that's my first experience writing like a full book with a co-author. What was that like in the creative process?
Chris and I were working together probably for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And we got to know each other well. We trust each other. We have a great appreciation for each other's knowledge and skills. Chris has been both the dean of the medical school and a practitioner for, I think, a total of about 30 years now. And he was able to fill in a lot of the medical gaps where I provided this new way, this theory of looking at how our bodies operate in relation to our environment.
That's great. And as you were wrapping up the project and you were looking back, I mean, this is one of those things that it happens all the time. And by the way, this book is relatively new. So, I mean, this just came out in 2023. So this is a new project. But when I've brought out books in the past and then you go out, you go speak and then you see other things and you see how it's received, there's always surprises in it for me personally. I'm not speaking for you, I'm saying personally. What's been the response for this book so far? Like as you've been out there, you've been, introducing the ideas into the community as you'll be doing at the Newport Beach Investor Conference. Like how's this been received?
The clients of our business are doctors and other medical practitioners. The most memorable comment I got when I was presenting the book at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine was a doctor said, "This is the holy grail of preventive medicine."
That's amazing.
Wow, yeah.
Like what a validation for your work. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. And other doctors were equally intrigued, but not quite as eloquent in flattering me.
So I feel like each book, especially when it comes to health and when it comes to introducing new ideas, it takes a little bit of time to, to get into the psyche. And then there's always that peer review and all the other things like you're talking about, right? You have to go out there, you have to get the ideas out there. And then you have to, they're tested over time. And you spent so much time of your life kind of formulating this and then also working with your colleague to be able to put this together. I'm curious, what's your vision for this going forward as you kind of build this brand, as you keep building awareness of the book? Like, what's your vision going forward?
Wow. I think that this book, this theory can change the way medicine is practiced. But that will take a while because the book establishes the underlying cause for inflammation and shows how inflammation is the body's protective mechanism from environmental contaminants. Rather than medicine treating the body's protective mechanisms, which generally are inflammation and most of the symptoms of a disease, now we can look at what is causing that inflammation and try and head it off before it becomes a disease, or while we're treating the symptom, but stop the cause of that symptom also.
Well, this has been great, Howard. I know there's only so much we can catch in a 20-minute or so podcast interview, and I know that we're just scratching the surface on this book. I mean, 257 pages of labor, both yourself and Chris put into this. So definitely, for everybody listening to this, we will be putting the link in the show notes so that you can just click on the link and head right on over and pick up a copy. And speaking of picking up a copy, so I know it's on Amazon, but Howard, if someone wants to just follow you and your journey in general and follow your work, what's the best way for people to connect?
I am on LinkedIn. They can also connect to our website, which will be in your summary also, which is rejuvenation-science.com. There's a page which is highlighted with a tab at the top of the website called Theory, and they can click on that to learn a little more about the theory, and with another click they can learn about some of the existing products which support the theory. We created a coupon code which will be good for a month, which is Mission Matters, for a discount on any of the supplements that they might choose to purchase.
Fantastic. And again, we'll put the links to all of that in the show notes. And speaking of the audience and checking out the book, I definitely want everyone to go pick up a copy. We'll have, again, the link in the show notes. That being said, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, definitely hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based individuals, and our aim is to bring them on the show, introduce new ideas, new concepts, and really new missions to you so that we can all grow together. So if that sounds interesting, again, hit that subscribe button. And if you're a long-term listener and you haven't left us a review yet, hey, how many times I got to ask? Come on, leave that review. We sure do appreciate it, and it helps the show grow. So thank you for that. And Howard, really appreciate you coming on the show today, and look forward to connecting with you over at the Newport Beach Investor Conference, because I'll be there. I know we'll have a booth. So thanks again for coming on.
Adam, thank you very much.